Hello, welcome to Roy's Book Reviews. Today I'm going to discuss the novel Lowland by Jhumpa Lahiri. This is a very beautifully written novel. It's also quite poignant, quite sad. So if you are looking for a feel-good story, I recommend that you pass on this one for now until you're more in the mood for gorgeous, poetic, powerful prose that is not intended to cheer you up, because this is definitely not a cheery story. Not that it's a great tragedy. It's not about a bunch of characters who growing attached to ending up dying or anything like that. It's just that it's a story about a couple who get married and you're pulling for them, and due to the circumstances of their marriage, it never quite works out the way that you would like it to. On Goodreads, I wrote that The Lowland is a beautifully written novel full of bold sorrow and muted hope. To synopsize, Lowland is the story of a woman named Gori who marries the love of her life, a man named Udayan. She loses the charismatic and impulsive Udayan to political violence and then marries his younger brother, Subhash. All the while, she is carrying the child of Udayan. Even though she is willing to make a new life with Subhash, she never comes to love him or see him as anything beyond the lesser of the two brothers. The daughter, who they raise together, they never reveal her true paternal roots. So she grows up thinking that her uncle, Subhash, is her father, and that her biological father, Udayan, is actually her deceased uncle. Eventually, she does learn the truth. I'm not going to quite call that a spoiler for the bulk of this novel. She does not know that the brothers basically switch places, or rather, Subhash switched places with Udayan in becoming Gauri's husband. Where there is hope, no matter how cautiously one treads from the past, there is a chance of happiness. But some people cannot or will not move forward. And for them, life is a continuous echo of sorrow, an eternity of regret. Those incapable of happiness, because old wounds fail to heal, will be cruel to those who try to love them. Whether it desires company or solitude, misery consumes whoever is nearest. Regardless of how far one travels, anguish that has been absorbed into the bones cannot be escaped. In the case of Lowland, the characters start off in Calcutta, and eventually Subhash and Gauri move to Rhode Island, where they live in a college town and try to make a go of their marriage and of their family. However, as I said, Gauri is never 100% invested in the marriage, and she is never 100% invested in being a mother to her child. Regardless of how far one travels, as I said, anguish that has been absorbed into the bones cannot be escaped. The Lowland is a story of family, a construct we are told is bonded by blood, but actually it's held together by love and willingly made sacrifice. So they leave a country behind, but it does little to erase memories and allow a new chance of happiness to take root. Whether it's in the lowland of Calcutta or Colletstown in Rhode Island, when a ghost is more real to you than the flesh and blood bones, the people in your life, the only possible existence is a haunted one. And basically, that is Gory's existence. Is she's living in the past. She's living with the memory of the great love of her life, and that is no crime, except for the fact that she did move on. She did commit herself to a life with a husband and with a daughter, but emotionally, she's never able to truly accept the life that she has. She can only think about the life that she was going to have and had for a brief time, but never truly gets to experience. Someone who cannot love you, regardless of the ties of blood, will always be a stranger rather than family. And that is how I would describe Gory, not only to her husband Subhash, but also to her own daughter. The daughter eventually grows up, she goes out on her own, and she has a bit of a nomadic lifestyle because of the fact, I think, that she grew up with her mother who never really wanted to parent her. When she was a young child, her Gory would just take off sometimes, focused on her studies or whatever else that she was into, and kind of leave her child to fend for herself, which is something that was very upsetting to Subhash when he found out about it. Eventually, they do break up, get divorced, and eventually the daughter finds out her true who her true biological father is, and she's very upset about this, but ultimately she decides to forgive the man who raised her, the man who was a true father to her, a real father to her for her entire lifetime. And eventually, happily, Subhash does meet another woman who is not haunted by a former lover and a former life, and he does, in his old age, get to experience what a true marriage is like, what it should be. So it does end on a somewhat hopeful note, but overall, it is a sad story because you're pulling for Gory to kind of wake up and say, hey, I've got a man here who loves me, I have a daughter here who loves me and needs me, and I need to step up and be a real part of their lives. But she is never able to do that because she is consumed by the past. That is my summary, my review of Lowland. It is an extraordinarily written novel. I highly recommend picking it up, giving it a shot. Unless, like I said, you are in the mood for something much more lighthearted, in which case, still buy it or borrow it, put it aside, and, when the time is right for you, you will know. Until then, happy reading, whatever it is you choose to read next, and I will see you again, or you will see me again in my next video.